And a captain eventually on 7-4. So local boy, done good, and great to see him here. His wingman John Dodd, of course.
So like I said, that's a jump on, opening nice and low for us all. What he's going to do is he's going to set the landing pattern for today's display. He's making his assessment of the smoke that we've got on the ground with us, judging how strong that wind is, and off of that he's going to decide where he needs to turn to get as close to that cross as he can. Now the cross isn't a target for the team, although they do like to try and hit it when they can. However, the main purpose of the cross is an indicator to them up in the plane that it's safe. So don't give them any hate if they miss that cross, but they will do what they can to put it nice and close to it. So first person down there. Jump off today's display, we have a large corporal Ollie Goss, right on the cross view wall. Coming down behind Ollie then we have the wing seater for today's display. Got out first with you all. Coming down right behind Ollie we have Corporal Stephen Hanley. Following in behind Stephen we have the jump bus in the last couple of years. We have Corporal Mike French. If I can bring all your attention back up towards where the plane was, you can see one of those canopy formations that I was talking to you about. We have what we call a by-hand, so there's two canopies that are connected up together. So what they did, those are the two canopies that pulled their parachutes as soon as they exited the plane. And what they did is, the first person will exit, the second person will exit straight after them. And then from there, as soon as the second person pulls their parachute, the first person's going to pull on them. That will keep them in close vicinity to each other once they've pulled their parachute. From there, they're able to crash and smash each other and manipulate their canopies against each other as they're doing now, downplaning directly overhead and bringing their parachutes nice and quickly down to the ground overhead to you all as they just did there. This allows them to split nice and close to you all as they did, and then they will also land simultaneously for you and put on a good display for you all. Whilst I was talking to you about that, we also had 2 other canopies land. So we had flying the Bournemouth Air Show flag, we had Lance Corporal Adam Bellingham, we also had Team Sergeant Nathan Fisher, who was the cameraman.
Slightly different references here compared to fixed-wing aircraft. Cyclic not referred to as a stick because that's controlling the rotor head. And the collective down in their left hand putting on the power they need. So here we go. Stand by for another nose down, dramatic stuff. To the end of this particular display now, fantastic sequence from the Royal Navy, both vintage and modern. manoeuvring gently out of sea to come back in and give you another break before one final crossover and departure. There go, but putting his feet cap on, came back with this beast, which did exactly the right job at the right time. Full of charisma and very, very popular with its crews as well. As it is today in command of Flight Lieutenant Seb Davey, former leader of the BPA. won the 1995 UK Advanced Level Championships.
We'll stay here or go to the bottom?